There's 3 levels of this I'm trying to help you understand. The first is how to address the golf ball to give you a great chance of success in this shot. So fundamentally on a greenside shot, we don't need a wide base. In fact, the wider the base, the harder it is to get our balance and our mass over on our lead foot. So the narrower the base, the easier it is to get our upper body leaning just a little bit to the left, such that you have about 80 to 90% of your body weight over your lead foot. So the rule of thumb is stance for a greenside chip shot, no wider than a club head. The ball itself should be sitting adjacent to this blue stick here, just on the inside of your trail foot. So what have we got so far? We've got stance no wider than a club head, allowing you to get 80 to 90% of your body pressure, body mass, up on your lead foot. And then we have the golf ball sitting just inside your trail foot. Now, what posture to adopt? Far too often I see people standing too far away and adopting a posture very similar to if you were hitting a full shot, right? I'm heavily forward flexed from the hips. I've got the handle hanging low, and I've got a relatively what we'll call deviated angle between the hang of my arms and the shaft sitting on the ground. But for basic greenside chips, I want you to get much, much closer. I want it to feel like your eyes are just on the inside of the golf ball here. So the distance from golf ball for a basic greenside chip should be much more similar in your position to a putt versus let's say a full iron shot. So we've got a 4th element there now. Let me run through them again. Feet, club head apart, 80-90% with our body weight leaning to the left. We've got ball just on the inside of our back foot. And now we have a distance from the ball that's relatively close, so the eye line is just on the inside of the golf ball. So that's our body positioning. Now let's talk about what our body should be doing in the actual swing. And the way I liken this is if we just shortened up the club to where both hands were down at the bottom of the grip, then we've got some 3 to 4 inches of grip pointing back at us. I want you to feel like your arms stay extended. Their orientation or position relative to your body is always the same, and all you do is you rotate your belt and your buttons backwards and forwards. Now, to gather a sense for this, what I need you to do is look down at the grip as you're making these small turns. A turn from maybe 8 o'clock on the backswing to maybe 4 o'clock or maybe even 3 o'clock on the follow through. 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock. And the only reason this club is swinging to those points on the clock is because my body is rotating it there. And then clearly you would take that into the actual shot. In doing so, you have a really stable radius. You have a really stable, smooth, kind of soft, wide shape to the arc, to the motion the club head makes. And that means that to touch the ground in the same place each time should be relatively simple. Now there's one last job, and that's the job of your hands. What should they be doing in the stroke? And this is a sensation that's very, very discreet. So it's a soft sensation such that I need you to understand a small amount of this goes a long way. What your wrist should be doing is twofold. Your heel pad on your left hand or your lead hand should be pushing down ever so slightly on the grip as your right hand is pulling up on the grip, just like so. And 2 things will happen. When I use those 2 sensations, the club is going to be pitched up outside the hand path. So from a down the line camera, what you can see is that the grip starts on the inside of my white alignment rod and the club head starts on the outside. And then when I'm up here at 8 o'clock, I still have that same orientation. Club head on the outside of the white stick, grip on the inside. In addition, what I've done is I've taken my right wrist with an amount of flatness to it, and then because of that motion, I've established there's a little bit of a cup called extension in the backswing. That helps me always narrow my arc on the backswing and then land the club further to the left. So here's how it looks in live fire, running it through real quick. Feet, 1 club head apart, ball in the middle, weight 80 to 90% on the left. I could lift my right foot if I wanted to. That tells me I've got enough pressure in this direction. Here comes the body rehearsal, 8 to 4, 8 3 if I want to make it go a little further. And here comes the wrist rehearsal. There's the wrist motion. Here comes the strike. Okay, a very effective chip shot. Little scar on the turf, which is normal when you're hitting off most surfaces, and that's normal. We should look for that to some extent. And a shot that's 4 or 5 feet past the flag. Now, to stand correctly and to have those elements in the swing, it should give rise to very good, what I'll call landing point control. An ability to make sure that your club hits the ground in the exact spot where it needs to. The exact spot where it needs to would be directly beneath the middle of the ball on a basic chip shot. Now, there's one way to practice that landing point control, and it's to back up away from the ball, and you can see I have just a little bit more than 1 club head space between my target line stick and my ball position indicator. And the reason for that is I'm going to use this gap here to practice my landing point. I want my club landing slightly to the left of where it starts. So my leading edge starts adjacent to my blue stick. I've got my stance, I've got my pressure, I've got my body swing and wrist hinge, and then I'm going to ensure, whoops, sometimes it's necessary to make mistakes to learn. That was clearly a mistake. And then I'm going to cause the club to land further to the left than where it starts. Something that can help is visibility into exactly where that club starts. Little scratched mark in the grass. Club starts where that's visible and then lands a bit more to the left. If we need a stronger feeling, we can actually use the stick where we start with the club on the trail side of the stick, create the body motion, the wrist hinge, and land with the club on the lead side of the stick, some amount. This is going to ensure you have confidence stepping up to the ball where you're always going to make solid contact. And go in. So there's your step-by-step guide to improving your not only understanding of concept, but also the how to apply those concepts to achieve more success on basic greenside chip shots.